My name is Jade, owner and principal planner of Joyful Events by Jade, and this is The Cookie Table. This is a podcast all about love, marriage, relationships, and the wedding industry, wedding news. Perfect for anyone that is getting married, is married, a wedding vendor, or someone that just loves weddings. Grab your favorite cookie from The Cookie Table, pour yourself a glass of Chardonnay, and let's get into it. Dawn Derbyshire.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining The Cookie Table. Welcome.
I'm obsessed. The whole concept.
Thank you. So, are you originally from Pittsburgh? Have you always lived here? Where are you from?
I'm not. I'm originally from outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Fun fact, it's only 5.5 hours away, but they do not do cookie tables there.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's just this
little pocket.
Little pocket.
But I've been a wedding photographer only in Pittsburgh. So, like, when I go back, I'm like,
where's your fucking
I'm
cake
going to
table?
need a cookie.
Yeah.
Like, I just need that, like, little hit of sugar.
I know.
Especially, like, hot summer weddings. Like, I need a cookie.
I need a cookie.
Just part of it.
And I want all of the cookies.
Yeah.
But I'll just take a few to, it's hard to not want them all from a cookie table. But you are like me. Your classic favorite cookie is a lovely chocolate chip.
It is a lovely chocolate chip. And I told you this already. If you can't make a good chocolate chip, I don't trust you to make anything else.
I don't trust you.
And you know what? That typically, unless you have like a whole
It's your
bunch of people
baseline.
making it, like 99% of the time, bad chocolate chip, the rest of your cookie table's garbage.
It's true.
Or it like tastes frozen.
I can taste
a frozen cookie now.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Good old chocolate chip cookie, courtesy of Grandview Bakery. Thanks, friends. Paired lovely with our Pennsylvania table wine, white wine from our friends at Greenhouse Winery.
Nice.
So we love it.
Love that.
We love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. Tell me about you. Let's talk about you. Let's talk everything about you first.
Okay. So
How long have you been doing this?
oh my gosh, I hate every time I say it because I'm like proud of this, but also it makes me feel absolutely ancient. This is my 15th year doing weddings.
It's wonderful.
So I did 10 years working for somebody else, building my own business. And then in 2019, it just wasn't sustainable to work for another photographer and do it myself. Because like eventually, like it started where I do one or two. And then like each year I booked more and more. And then I was like, oh, there aren't actually enough weekends to do this. And brilliantly, in January of 2019, I left and did my own thing, not knowing that a year and some change later, my whole life would fall apart.
Oh, no.
Because pandemic.
Right. That's the math on that one.
I probably would have been like the first one out because, I mean, I hate to say it, my second shooters were the first ones who kind of got the axe when I'm not doing any work.
You have
so
to. Yeah, I
was doomed either way. But
no, here you are, and you're absolutely fucking crushing it. I mean,
thank you.
You are a prime example, but a wonderful example of doing it all.
I love and hate that about myself.
I know. You are you're so nice. You are so nice, and we can get into the whole selectively nice. I love that. Well, who might want to be nice? People have relationships too. Yeah. But you really do it all. You do boudoir.
Yes.
You are photographing more like rehearsal dinners too, which I saw, and I just
I'm really excited
about that.
My thing is so I've been doing weddings for 15 years, and it's funny because I always say like in 2020 you either were like I am over this, I don't love it anymore,
right.
The world is garbage,
right.
Or you're me who was just like, how do I exist in a world without weddings? I love weddings. Like even on the days where I hate my job, I love weddings. I love my clients. I love the vendors I get to work with. So rehearsal dinners was just kind of like a logical add-on.
Yeah.
I've always done like a handful every year, but I get to a lot of times my couples who do rehearsal dinners have planners.
Right.
So like I get to walk through the run through of everything. I usually do like a little couples session with them. And then also I get to meet every important person who's probably going to be in photos the next day.
Yeah.
And then I'm not
great.
just a strange lady with a camera hassling them.
That's a really good point.
And then also just like, I just did one last week where I did church only. So I just went to the church, watched them do a ceremony run through, but like they had a total debate on when they were going to kiss. And I would not have been able to give any feedback in that if I just showed up at the church the next day, like, okay, so when are you going to kiss? Instead, we got to coordinate with the officiant, and she's like, I'm going to step out. We're going to do it at this time. These are the words I'm going to say, so
Perfect.
you know it's going to happen. And I was like, and this is why I do this.
Yeah.
And then also, like, it was a planner I had never worked with before. Eco and Ivory Events. They were really wonderful.
Got to build a lovely relationship that way. That's great.
And then, but like also, then I get to meet the planner in person instead of just like, hi, we Zoomed a couple times. And
yeah.
that's always, Zoom's awkward. I hate
So
it.
awkward.
I don't know if that makes me old, but
No, it's not I know.
Yeah.
I know. So what is your advice? When do they kiss halfway down the aisle or at the end of the aisle? What do you
for
prefer?
them, they were debating, so they had a Catholic mass.
Okay.
So they were debating, it's kind of cool. The officiant was talking about how the origin of the kiss is the sign of peace in a Catholic mass.
Okay.
So she was like, I'm going to do it right after that. Makes sense. That's where it's supposed to go.
Right.
Which is still where they did it. But then there was also the like, oh, do you do it at the end? Do you do it in the middle of the aisle? And I'm like, kiss as many times as you want.
Yeah, literally. Let's see it all.
Literal first kiss is the one that like, I kind of got to get that. It's like a must have.
Mm-hmm.
Like in 15 years, I've only missed it once, and that couple will never know because I like redid it and just like slid it right where it needed to be in the timeline. It kind of worked because they had like chairs in front. It was a mess. If you thought about the ceremony, you would know that it's not right, but nobody's thinking that hard about like, the chairs just disappeared. Maybe that's Photoshop.
No,
it was, I made them redo the whole thing, but they also did like a first look. So I was like, it's not as big a deal, but, yeah. So it was kind of cool to be like a part of that process. And, you know, it's also, again, just building better relationships with my clients through being at another life event for them.
Right.
I
love that.
Getting old. So also like, you know, I've added in, I do your engagement session. Then we do your rehearsal dinner. Then I do your wedding. And then I'm like maternity, kids, stuff like that. So like,
it's a kind of the full relationship.
Yeah.
It really is.
I really fought that for a long time. And now I'm like,
let's go in.
I want to hold your baby, please. Let me.
So how do you feel? Please let me your little Mimi. So how do you feel about any couples that you have done 3, 4, even 5 shoots for, and then you see them all of a sudden use a different photographer? Does that offend you? Does that upset you? You're not upset. You get it. Any thoughts there?
It sounds awful, but it depends on the couple.
Yeah.
I know I have couples that like really like variety, or I'll see the shoot that they do with another photographer and I'm like, I would never. I have a stupid amount of couples that go to Rachel Rolland for family photos because she crushes it.
Yeah.
I could never get those photos she gets. They're like very candid and fun and authentic. And I'm like, sit on the couch and pose.
But everyone's different. Everyone has their own style.
Depending on the vibe. If they went to a photographer where it's like the same style as me and the same vibe, I'm like, that sucks. It does hurt a little. I would never say it doesn't.
Right.
But at the same time, like for years, I was referring out all those shoots anyway. So like people don't even know.
Yep.
I have couples coming in for maternity now because that's what I'm pushing. And they're like, oh, hey, we didn't know you did this. And I'm like, yeah, because I did, but I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to. And now I'm like there. So so it's like kind a little painful depending on the client, but at the same time, like I just love that they're getting photos consistently because my husband and I haven't had professional photos since we got married 8 years ago. So like I just appreciate people who appreciate photos,
photography,
and sometimes they still come back around to me. They just want something different. Like I have clients a lot of times who come in for like Christmas photos, but do like fall photos with somebody else. That's fine.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So the first time I ever worked with you was in 2019.
Yeah.
At the Opera House. It was my first year in business, and I feel like to this day, I look back at that wedding and I will always think, and I'm so glad that like we're frienders now and you don't hate me, but I look back at it and I'm like, Dawn's gonna hate the absolute shit out of me. Okay. So the lovely venue.
Yes.
And it's just fun what you've learned throughout obviously time.
See, I knew coming in, the venue is, I love it. The Opera House is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Chaotic.
So
chaotic.
Very
and just
chaotic.
There's a reason they don't do a lot of weddings. So like I would never put a lot of any like that wedding was beautiful. I love them. They're a wonderful couple. They're a couple that one of my friends photographs now that they have a family. Speaking of not being jealous.
Right? Great people.
Yes.
Great space.
But
I am not
hard to coordinate space.
Very, very, very hard. Yeah. And it's so small. And I have never in my life had so many people asking me to sit down. I'll never forget it. Like they literally were like, the cocktail hour was taking a while and they were just like, I just need to sit. Like I really need to sit. There was not a single chair, but there was nowhere to put them.
Yeah. No.
And like now, obviously years down the line and things that like I look for and I know too, it's like, if you want to have a long cocktail hour, like you need to be able to sit. But I was like so torn and I felt awful. Like everyone was hounding me. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I had to open up the space for everyone to go sit, but then that totally fucked everything that you need to do for detail shots. Yeah. And I felt awful. And I still to this day feel awful about it.
You shouldn't. It was a couple that like, they were so nice and they were not like detail shot people.
They didn't care.
So like they really were very like family portrait moment focused. And they wanted all of that. If it had to happen at a wedding, it was that one. Because like even floral wise, they kind of went like minimalist. It wasn't like, I did one at the Opera House at my old job that was like up themed and they like went hard. Like everything was Disney, all the flowers, tons of like balloons, craziness. And like they did a room flip there. So like the details were rough.
Yeah.
But like they cared a lot about details and I was in a similar situation. That's when it sucks. But like for that couple, they were like so kind and like just not that they weren't detail people, but like their wedding was not about the details. So
it worked. But I was like, sir, I cannot let you sit down. I can't let you sit. I can't let you sit. And it just I was like, oh my God. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I have to do it. And I'm grateful that you don't hate me for it.
No, because it's there's only so much you can do. Like I had a really beautiful wedding at the Winter Garden and it was my first one there. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to do the details. And the planners were like, we're going to try to hold it for you. But if you've ever been there, there's no divider. It's just one big room. So everybody went and sat down. And by the time I got back, like there's stuff all over. Like as a photographer, if you're a professional, you just figure out how to work around it.
Yes.
A seasoned professional who isn't a baby. So
if there is a coat on a chair, for example, what's your workaround? You just
I'm either going to move it. I'm going to have my second photographer take it and put it back, or I'm going to pick a different table or I hate to say it. I hate doing this to myself, but I do it to myself all the time. These days, if it's really all I can get, I'm just going to AI it out. Like,
I talked about that with Mia. We just talked about AI in the industry, but it has such good pros.
Yeah, I think it's a tool.
Yes, it's a tool.
I hope clients don't think that like it's magic making.
Yes.
It's a tool. It's flawed. Like you can definitely tell when somebody like AIs something poorly because like why do you have 6 fingers?
Yeah.
Or even like I just spent like an hour and a half trying to get like I did this beautiful wedding that I just delivered that had like a vintage car, but there was like some cars behind that like were very not the aesthetic of the wedding. And I was like just sitting there like circling and being like get rid of car, and I would like see it and I'm like, you just put a different car there. So like I had to actually go in and like hand remove it and I couldn't use AI. So
there you go. See,
it took forever.
So AI is not taking over all of our jobs or everything. We still need someone like Dawn.
I'm 15 years in. Yeah. Sometimes I'm lazy. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to circle it and say, please remove. And
if it doesn't, work smarter, not harder. Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure that has cut down your editing time like a lot, which is beneficial.
Yeah, it's like a blessing and a curse though, because now I'm like really anal retentive about stuff. Where I'm just like, well, I could take that out though.
I could.
Should I take it? In the moment, Dawn really screws editing Dawn so often, where I'm just like, I'll just get rid of it later.
And then you're like, damn.
And then like, there's me last night, so I sent out all of my June weddings are like in the mail, out, ready to go, but it like. Late last night, I'm like sitting there like, I just gotta like get these done, but I can't stop fixing the little stuff or fixing the things that day of Dawn was like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Totally fine.
There's sweat stains on your shirt. I'll get rid of it. Don't change it. It's fine.
But you make everything beautiful and you put so much attention to your photos, and that means so much to your couples and your clients. So thank you. Because you've done a lot of wonderful things for me too.
Oh yeah, I love working with you.
Oh my God, I have so much fun with you. So
I hate that we haven't had a wedding.
I know.
Because I love doing the Brie Basket stuff with you.
Oh my God, I know.
Especially like the proposals. Like I know. I love my proposal. My husband did it right. But like I love watching other people's proposals. So like fun. I watch proposal videos on the internet at night when I'm trying to sleep.
And you get to see that real time
photographing it. Dream.
Right? And that is going into picking a photographer that cares about what they're doing. But yes, you do my branding stuff. You always do my branding stuff. You do You're the photo of my podcast cover, so thank you.
Nice.
Of course. And yes, Brie Basket's my picnic planning company. You do a lot of stuff for us, which is amazing. We have a little secret project that we did that we're still waiting on some stuff, but it's coming out.
Someday it'll happen.
You'll see it, but we had a really great time with that together.
Oh yeah.
But I so appreciate your advocacy for Brie Basket specifically, because it's just the passion I feel like you show in what we do, which means a lot, and then your photos show it too. And then
I try.
Have any of our proposal couples booked you for a wedding yet?
So,
I hope so.
They didn't book me for their wedding, but what they did is they like eloped at the courthouse and they hired me to do photos of just the two of them beforehand.
Love that.
And it was so cute.
That's amazing.
Because I know, like, especially I feel like with a lot of my Brie Baskets clients, you get a lot of South Asian couples.
Yeah. Yes.
And like, they're like, we're going back to India and doing the 500 person. And I'm like, that's.
Wish I could see you again. Bye-bye.
I would do that here if you have it here, but I don't think I could last on the plane ride. I don't like travel for weddings like I used to, just because I'd rather go on a real vacation.
Not work on enjoy
but
it.
What I found is a lot of times like they just follow me on social media and like I think you get certain they either go like big wedding or they're like, we're just gonna elope, and I'm like, literally, I love that.
That's exactly what we get.
So
that's exactly what we get.
I love weddings, and I shoot a lot of big weddings, but I'm like, elope, run away.
Let's do something cute and small in the woods. We can elope in Pittsburgh.
I'm biased.
Yes.
So.
When it comes to some of the mix of our couples, we've had all of our couples are fantastic. I know we had a Brie Baskets couple that kind of asked for over editing a lot.
Yeah.
So do you get that often? And is that, because I felt bad because we were seeing all the emails. One thing that couples don't understand is a lot of vendors take Monday and Tuesday off.
Oh, yeah.
So that is a big thing when you see a bunch of emails popping in and you're just like, are you going to answer me? Are you going to answer me? What's going on? It's like, dude, we just worked all weekend. We're busting our ass. Like, please give me a moment. You know, Dawn, you are someone that is so attentive and you're so quick to all of your clients. So it's like, my God, you can't give Dawn a day. Give Dawn a fucking day to get back to you. Please.
And I'm like pretty workaholic. So like my boundaries are garbage. It's tend to be like, yes, I will answer your email at 2 a.m.
I've done it too. I do it too. I'm the same way.
So some of I'll say it because I don't know if they're going to be podcast people. Either way, they were a really lovely couple. The proposal was beautiful. She was just so self-conscious about herself. Like,
she had no reason to be.
She was gorgeous. She was so cute. She wore this very like 90s outfit, which I loved.
So sweet.
But like
great people.
She made me fully reshoot the actual proposal because she didn't like how she reacted.
That's insane.
Which like. That's
insane.
Your reaction. That's just your reaction. But I think she really built it up in her head. And
oh my God, Dawn.
Like what I've learned is when couples ask me for like a lot of like photoshopping requests, a lot of times, it's there's like two ways it can go. It's a like confidence issue, which is what that was. Is she had a very like specific vision of how she looks in her head, and sometimes that's not really how you look. If you like Facetune every single one of your photos,
dear God, you're not
when you see my photos, you're not gonna like who you look like.
Yeah.
Because you just look like yourself. And all of my clients are beautiful. My goal is to make them feel that way.
Right.
Thankfully I have some killer Photoshop skills, but also the other way is that like you're just is that like sepia bride drama? Not to bring it into your podcast.
I literally thought about talking
of just like somebody that like I feel like there are some people that like kind of go back to their photographers a bunch and either ask for more photos, ask for this, that, or the other thing because they're having trouble like letting go of like that center of attention. It was my wedding thing. Like the wedding blues are real.
They're
and
super
like
real. So real.
The wedding regrets kind of come with that sometimes. Like I had a very sweet client and I love her, but she came back and she was just like, oh, did we get photos of this, that, and the other thing? And I'm like, we had conversations about those. Right. And each time you told me your priority was to go out and dance. So we didn't do it. We skipped sunset. We skipped this. We skipped that. But every time I made like a checkpoint of like, hey, are we going to do it? But then like, it's 6 weeks later and you're looking at your wedding photos, wondering where those photos are. Yep. Not remembering that you just didn't do them.
Yep.
Because you were somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
and from a wedding planner point of view, I do try to also say to my couples that are feeling like that, or the ones that come in like, or pre-planning,
Yeah.
I don't really care. I'm like, I do not want you to regret that you didn't get certain photos. I was like, if your photographer pulls you out for sunset photos, just try to do it, you know, or whatever the case is. If you didn't have it planned, you know, you're welcome to say, no, I don't want to do it. But I don't want you to look back at your gallery and regret it. But at that point, you know, you can't relive a wedding day. You were so kind enough to relive a surprise. It was, you know, it was an engagement, right? So you're not going to know how your reactions are. So you redid a complete engagement. But how do you set that boundary? How, you know, because you want your clients to be happy. But so it's like, dude, it's your face. Like, what do you want me to do?
I'm pretty bad at it. I definitely, like, I think because, like, I eloped and, like, I had been engaged before and, like, did the whole wedding planning thing. And then when I met my husband, I was like, we're like, you want to elope? Yes. Cause I'm here for the marriage.
Yep.
It's really hard to get swept up in that wedding stuff. So I try to be really understanding with my couples.
Yeah.
And with them, I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, you know, this isn't your authentic reaction.
Right.
I shoot digital, like, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Repropose to her. You're going to be the one who has to live with that memory.
Right, that these photos are fake. That's on you.
And I mean, it is what it is. And she was much happier second time around.
Yes, good.
But a lot of times setting those boundaries, especially with editing, I am bad at because I get it. Like, you want to love yourself in your photos. So, like, I try to make it happen.
Yeah.
But I do eventually hit the point where I'm like, okay, so this is actually going to cost money. Like, that is my boundary. As I sit there and I'm like, okay, we can do this, but I'm going to outsource it so I don't have to look at your face anymore.
Swear to God, though. Good for you.
And it's just one of those, it keeps me loving my clients.
Yes.
And then also, like, it kind of helps distance everything a little bit, where I'm like, professionally, a professional person could not make this look the way you wanted. So do we think maybe it's a you problem at this point?
Right. This is starting to get a little frustrating. You know, I'm doing everything I can to make you happy for no additional charge. By the way, this is my time. This is my life that you are soaking into. Right. And that's okay because I love my job and I love you. And that's how I am too. Like, I'm so laid back and giving as a wedding planner. And I just want everyone to be happy. And even if it's just a wedding day management client that reaches out to me 6 days in advance, those are my day of clients.
Yeah.
Jade, can we just hop on a call to talk about stuff? I'm thinking there's fucking nothing on my end we need to talk about. Your day of client, but sure.
Yeah.
Let's hop on a call 6 months in advance. I want to make sure you feel happy. Like, I genuinely feel that way. Yeah. But it's one of those things where I think not all couples think about that our pricing and our services are truly, truly, truly based off of our time and our overhead and our business in general. So it's like when you start to kind of low key as a client nickel and dime, you don't realize you're nickel and diming.
No, because to them it's not nickel and diming,
you don't get it.
But it's taking little pieces of us.
Exactly.
Yeah,
taking
it's
little
like not even the money at that point. It's just like the stress and the insanity of stuff.
Please, I'm a person. Please stop.
And that's, I thankfully, like 99%, all of my clients really love me. I'm at the point in my career where like that's the vibe that I get.
Yeah.
But I'm really type A, and I either attract very chill people or very type A people and nothing in between.
Me too. And that's why we get along so well.
I think so.
We're like the same.
But, like, I typically, I call myself, like, paperwork type A. I'm like, here, fill out 15 pages of paperwork, and then on your wedding day, I'm going to, like, curse and lift your dress up and make weird jokes. And my second photographer is going to get weird. Like, I'm going to go from, like, here's the wedding SATs, please fill out, to I haven't actually looked at that paperwork all day because I don't need it. I just have it there.
Literally. Same. I never look at any of my
case
paperwork.
I do need it. So I'm like, rain plan, I've got you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I forgot there are 13 bridesmaids. Let's figure this out.
Oh, right. I'm the same exact way.
Yeah, it's definitely like they don't even think about that little stuff. Where it's like I offer a complimentary timeline thing, and like it's one, not six, not it's one.
Yep.
But I will answer 6 emails about it. I will. Have an hour and a half long meeting over 20 minutes of logistics.
That didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
I'm the same way.
It's one of those when you care a lot, it's really hard to separate. And I've worked with photographers that are like all business, and I'm always just like, can you teach me?
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
but I love this about me at the same time.
I have to turn all of my feelings off, and I just won't.
Right.
I want to cry at your wedding. I want to love your wedding, and I want to be excited for it. And sometimes that means I say yes to things I shouldn't say yes to, and put in work I shouldn't.
I know. But there's so much value to that when couples are looking for their vendors, finding people that genuinely, as much as we say, like, I wish we could be all business, it's like, man, like, I love you and I love your wedding day and you're great and I wish we could be best friends after we're done, and it's like, damn, you're gone. And you know, it's like sad. Like one of my brides the other week, she was so funny. We were leaving at the end of the night. She goes, "Are we breaking up?"
I feel bad because
it feels like it. I don't love this.
I always want to be friends, but like I am not even a good friend to my own friends. I swear that, right? So I need to be like, so I want to be your friend, but I see my friends once every 3 months.
I know.
So, I wish I'd be friends with all of you. Unless we can do that, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But going with kind of the pricing of, we think about these things. We really think about our pricing. There's a reason for our pricing. So kind of going into that, let's talk about price transparency and having it on your website or telling other vendors about your pricing, kind of not gatekeeping it, but kind of sticking into having it on your website. Do you feel like that has helped you or has hurt you? Or
I used to have, I worked for another photographer and they had like full transparency. Every package is online. When I went off on my own, I moved towards, I have like a starting price out there. So you're not going to be shocked. I have, hey, this is, so I charge, my base package is $5,500.
Yep.
And that includes 8 hours, 2 photographers.
Wow,
not
Dawn.
8 photographers.
It's impeccable. Every single angle possible.
My brain, I could never edit all of that. But like
imagine?
2 photographers, 8 hours, and some other stuff in there. I'm not the highest priced. I'm not the lowest priced. I'm kind of in the middle right now.
Yep.
Higher middle, but middle. But I have kind of like a little like, here is the minimum of what you're going to get and the price that is. Yeah. And then I have them like list a price in my inquiry form that starts at my minimum price. So like, unless like there's something magical that I offer you of my own choosing, every package I'm going to send you starts at that starting price.
That's great.
At least.
Okay.
And I feel like that I don't get a lot of like, we got your pricing and then I never hear from you again. I get fewer inquiries, but
if that's out the bad ones, the pointless ones.
Yeah. 90%, like I get fewer inquiries. My booking rates are pretty good.
That's
like
great.
If we get to the point where I have a meeting with you, it goes to a 90% booking rate.
That's fantastic.
Because you already know my pricing.
Yep.
I do send my pricing immediately. I don't make you have a meeting with me.
I'm the same way.
Like if you email me, you will get my pricing. It's just not on my website. Because sometimes like I have certain planners that I like to work with that I sometimes throw a little discount in there. Or like, oh my gosh, I really want to work at that venue.
Yep.
Like I'm going to give you an extra hour in this for the same price. Like I feel like pricing can be really flexible and customized.
Absolutely.
And then also I just have kind of like a won't get out of bed price, even though I will get out of bed for less than that. But I don't like if it's August and your wedding's all outdoors and it's a venue I hate.
Yeah.
Like
you better make it worth
you
my
might
time,
not even
man.
get my pricing. Let alone like
that's fair.
There's also, and it's one of those like, okay, so like there is no deal. You could have my favorite planner and I'd still be like, I don't like working outside in August.
Yep. Not in the mood for it.
Yeah. Don't.
So there's a lot of flexibility around
so there's
it.
flexible. I go for a flexible way, starting price.
That's great.
And that allows me to kind of like, I'm a one woman show. So like I can do whatever I want.
Absolutely.
I don't have associates or anything like that. So like, I kind of like a jumping off point instead of like set packages.
Okay.
Anyway.
And I think that's great and that's helpful. And I think anything you can do to kind of start to vet people beforehand to save yourself time and just pricing. And it is hard because it's like, I feel like if they would just get on a call with me, they wouldn't care about my pricing. You know, sometimes you kind of think that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I've given my pricing and then I get on a call and I'm not kidding you. I had a groom say, so it makes me wonder if the bride even shared probably not the paperwork. No. He goes, can you discount this? I said, no. It was a 45-minute call. Everything was going great. At the very end, he said, yeah, I just don't know. Can you discount this? And I was like, well, you did get my pricing information before you even booked this. So I'm so disappointed. We're both wasting our time, clearly. It's
such a waste of time.
They didn't book. No. So the money, that mattered more to him than it mattered more to her. She cared enough to want to have a call with me. But I was like, all right. Like, so annoying. And I did see someone say on Threads, it was someone getting married, and they said, please, dear God, stop calling it an investment. Just call it I love that. Pricing. What's your take on that?
So
it felt a little rude.
It is a little, but like I also love Threads because Threads is a little rude.
It's so rude. It's so good.
I was like, I'm just going to post on Threads for fun. And then I'm like, let me drop a hot take every week.
Yes.
But so I think I have it as investment on mine, but it is an investment.
It literally is, though.
You're especially like, it is an investment, but I get it. It's annoying because it is a buzzword to make it not seem like, hi, here's the money I want to take from you.
Yeah.
By the way, would you like to make like half of a car payment on your wedding service?
Right.
Like, I get it. I get the frustration, but it is an investment. And I think if you just look at it as a price to pay, you're going to have a different experience than I am investing in my wedding experience. I'm investing in my wedding photos versus like, I got to pay for these stupid photos. I don't want to be like.
I feel like the person that said that was probably more of a money type person. You know what I mean?
I feel bad. I feel like it's budget conscious people.
Yes.
Who are like really nitpicky about the term investment. Yeah. Because they're looking at the bottom line. And I think that's part of why I have a starting price.
Yes.
Is what I found is most people who come to me are not surprised by my prices, even though they only know a starting price. And they're just like, I see you as an investment. I want you. It's not just about the photos. Like, I had somebody that I asked how many photographers they've talked to, and I'm like, don't be shy. I don't care. I had somebody that met with 20 other photographers. Like, it weeds those people
Holy
out.
Shit.
That was like early on in my career. Yeah. And thankfully, like, her thing was she was a designer, so she was very specific. But I noticed when I started listing my starting price and when I hit a certain point, the number of photographers people were meeting with went down.
Interesting.
So they're valuing me versus just, oh, can you give me a price?
Right. And that's what we all want. Yeah. That's what we asked for.
Oh, that's the dream.
That's it. We're just people. Yeah. We're just people. We want you to book us because you want to book us. Yeah. And our services and what we can give to you. And again, Dawn, you and I, we're both laid back people. We have a good time. We love what we're doing. So it's like, just, it's worth the investment.
It is.
Hate the term as much as you want, but it literally is an investment. This should be, we hope, this is the only day you're doing this.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And if it's not, that's okay. Book us again. We'll do it again for you. But it's like, that's what we hope. So you're investing in hope, one of the biggest days of your life. And I do think people that hate that term are more money conscious, and they're just, they're literally booking you just based on your price point.
Yeah. And they probably, like, for you, like your services, or for me, like my photos, but the money is what's driving it, which, like, I mean, I'm not doing this for free, so I get it. Right. I get it. I paid my wedding photographer $100 because I eloped, and I was like,
but you eloped,
I don't care. Like, I have 5 photos that I really love, and those are what's everywhere. But also, I am not my ideal client. So
exactly, 100%.
I can't treat my business like how I would do it, because I would definitely have to get another job.
Right. So let's talk about finding your ideal client, but then learning that they are at a venue that doesn't support LGBTQIA plus community.
So properly timed. I just worked with one of my dream clients, and they were referred to me by a different venue. Okay. I let them book without having their venue secured, and I ended up at a homophobic venue. I don't tag them in the photos. I don't care. They were also absolute assholes to my clients the whole time. So, like, also didn't feel good about that. It happens. I personally, if you have that venue before you come to me, I won't do it. It sounds terrible. You could be the nicest couple ever, But no matter how much you like my photos, the venue is directly benefiting from my photos, because if you send them the gallery, like, the venue I don't work at has a ton of my photos.
Yeah.
And I had that happen not once, but twice this year, to the point that I changed my policies and will not allow booking without a venue.
Okay. So that's what, how do you combat that? How do you combat bigot fucking people, which is crazy?
I die on the hill. I rage about it.
You do.
Rage
and
about
you're a
it.
beautiful ally. More recently, you posted on your Instagram stories about showcasing, other
Like
vendors,
other vendors
that are allies and support it, because it's all inclusive. Love is love. Like, we're all here. We want you to get married. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's crazy that in 2024 this shit even exists, but we all have to all deal with it.
I have family members who are trans, who they're, thankfully it's my husband's sister, is not supportive of their child.
Jesus.
And it's something that I literally see the negative effects of it.
It's awful.
In action. And it shouldn't have to affect you for you to care.
Right.
But there are several venues. There are many vendors that do not do same-sex weddings, LGBTQ. There's also some racists out there. It's wild.
It's crazy.
It's like a Pittsburgh. It's not a Pittsburgh problem, but I do think because of Pittsburgh, and some of the demographics that are here, it's just part of it.
It is.
So
it's
I am
awful.
in the place in my career where I can choose not to work with those people, but there are some people that sneak under. My goal is to be as kind and compassionate as I can to them, and then never work with them again.
Right. It is.
I've worked with some planners, stuff like that, and it's just one of those they're not walking around going, "I don't do same-sex weddings." They're being shady about it,
right? Right.
One of the venues just posts everywhere random Bible verses that are clear, a man and woman should be together. Right across their inquiry form on their website.
Jesus,
stuff like that.
That's just awful.
I mean, I personally combat it by not working those places, so they can't use my photos to build their own portfolios, stuff like that.
Right.
I also think if you are an ally or an affirming vendor, which I hope most of my friends and people I know are.
Yep.
Put it out there.
Okay.
So I feel like a lot of people struggle with, I don't have same-sex couples. I don't have people of color in my portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Then either find people to photograph, but also in a authentic, true.
Yeah.
You want to photograph them, not just hi, you fit the demographic missing from my portfolio, but I actually want to legitimately want to give you photos
that I'm here for you.
That's kind of a messy area to do it from a place of authenticity and not like that. But also have an inclusivity statement. Speak up.
Yep.
So you have a voice, use it. A lot of vendors are the face of their business.
Right.
Not everyone, but they are. Mm-hmm. And you can put it out there. You shouldn't, couples in the LGBTQIA community and, people of color shouldn't have to guess that you're willing to work with them. Right. They should know. And 100%. There's many ways you can show it. And personally, I didn't used to, but if a couple ask me about somebody, I'll say it.
Good for you.
I'm not going to blast somebody on a podcast or on my website, but the couple that I was working with at the homophobic venue, once they expressed their dissatisfaction with their experience, I was by the way, guys, I don't normally work here. I really like you. You booked this place after I signed, but I just want you to know this is also a deal here. So not only are they treating you like garbage, but they're garbage.
They're trash that needs taken out.
Yeah,
please,
I'm never going
to
because it's hard to find these things out. So I'm not going to blame the couples.
What do you have any advice to couples of little things that you can look for? Is there anything that you have noticed that we could tell our couples to look for when they are to avoid bigots and homophobic places, vendors, and venues specifically?
Yeah. Venues especially, look for those little subtle things. Also, don't just go off the first few reviews. The one place that I won't work at, the review is from 8 years ago, but it's somebody that was oh yeah, they asked a same-sex couple to get off the dance floor. Not even the couple, just a couple that was dancing. They asked it, and it's buried because of course you're going to bury that review.
Right.
But it's that, I hate to
awful.
say it, straight up ask. I don't feel like any of these places would be, they're going to say it in a kind way.
Yep. Be straightforward.
Because I know what it is.
Yep.
But I don't think they will shy away from like, oh yeah, we don't do that.
Right.
They're going to say it in like, oh, for this reason, we don't allow that.
Right.
But also,
ask them. They'll be hesitant probably
They'll probably
too.
be hesitant. It'll be weird probably.
The reaction will say it all.
And I know I'm not somebody that could ask. I'm totally not.
Right.
So like look for little things.
Okay.
Like again, the one venue that I love to think of literally has the like marriages between a man and a woman on their inquiry form, like, and quoting scripture is one thing, but that is a very specific one to quote. Right. And like they have similar like scriptures all over their venue. So like,
which as a Christian myself pisses me off so much, because it's like Jesus himself said the Old Testament is bullshit.
I was at this really beautiful,
which is where all that is in. It's all in the Old Testament.
It's St. Paul's Episcopalian Church in Mount Lebo, and like they had like beautiful pride flags everywhere. Female pastor.
Take me to that church.
It was so amazing, wonderful, and it definitely was one of those like, focusing on the right things, like the love everybody stuff.
Right.
Like it gave me chills. I was so excited.
Really
my second photographer was like, "Look at all the flags," and I was like, "Yes." And like I get it. Some people like, I'm not going to expect a Catholic church,
right,
to be inclusive.
Right.
It's just, I wish, but it's not going to happen.
Right.
But venues that are privately owned, like, if you're not welcoming everybody, I don't really want to. I don't want to be a part of it. Photos.
I know,
and I know plenty of Christians who run venues who are amazing human beings who welcome all love at their venues. Right. So it exists. It's out there. You just, thankfully, my list very small.
Good.
It's like 3 venues, 2 planners, and like that's it's not a lot.
Good.
But they exist.
So
that's just the ones that I know of, because I'm not putting anybody on the list that I'm like, I guess maybe.
No, that's great. So when it comes to your couples booking, I know you said now you're requiring them to have a venue first.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yeah.
How do you avoid other vendors or planners, for example? Is it possible, or you kind of can't? Like, what would you be your advice to other vendors looking to do it?
Is I just really push for them to hire vendors from my vendor lists.
Good.
I out the gate send them a vendor list when they book me.
Okay.
And then I have extended lists that I can send if those people don't fit for them.
Okay.
I would never put somebody on my vendor list that I wouldn't feel like all of my couples would be safe and valued with. Yeah. And just, I hate to say it, like, I have beautiful weddings with a planner who I know is very anti-LGBTQ. I don't share much of it. I shared it when they got married. It's on my website.
Yeah.
I love it.
Jeez.
But I won't do a lot of Instagram posts about it because I believe vendors deserve to be tagged for their work, but I do not want to tag them.
Support that person knowing what they truly believe, and they're they're being secretive about that, obviously.
Yeah, and it's not my place to again blow them up about that.
Right.
But I also have the choice in my business not to support their business.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for you. So as we talk about fellow vendors and working with them and being a vendor in general, this makes me think about vendor meals, which I wanted to touch upon. So, because lovely threads.
were you looking at Rachel Rollins' thread?
I sure as hell was.
I loved my response
and
for
we
it,
love
actually.
You, Rachel Rollins.
Yes. I'm the number one in the fan club.
Yes, such like big fans. Like finally met you more recently. You're just fucking so much fun. So
yeah.
One of Rachel's hot takes was, I don't care if I get fed at a wedding or not.
Yes, and I actually agree with that. Even though in my contract I have that I'm getting fed, to me, much like there are venues out there that like secretly are like, we don't do this, here's a scripture to let us know. Me,
it's a scripture why we don't feed you, bitch.
Tie it back. In my contract I have that like, you need to feed me, it needs to be a real meal, like treat me like a person. And that's what it's about. Yes. It's not about feeding me. It's about treating me like a human being who has worked 6 hours, deserves an hour break. And like, you want to feed me. Yeah. You know a hangry photographer is a jerk. Like, you know
please, just,
that I am deserving of more than like Chef Boyardee pasta from the back of the kitchen.
Right.
Or like the band eating my dinner and me having to eat a sandwich that is questionable and is probably going to give me food poisoning. Or even just like a seat. I don't need to sit with your guests. I don't need to eat the filet. I want a meal that I would actually like to eat. Sometimes I tell my couples to get me chicken fingers. I love a chicken finger.
I love me a good chicken finger.
And a seat that I can sit down at and breathe.
Yeah.
Because I especially have like some rabid squirrel energy. And I crash hard at dinner because I know, okay, I have at least 20 minutes to breathe, rehydrate, put some sugar in my body, and get back out there. And it's more of a respect and value thing than an actual like.
Sure is.
I want you to feed me, because everybody brings up, well, when you're in an office, they don't feed you, and I'm like, yeah, but you get a break. You can leave.
We can't.
And technically, I can according to my contract, but will I?
No, of course not, because you're great. You would never do that.
I'm great. Also, because the number of DJs who've done stuff during dinner that I was not in the room for. I have trust issues. So sometimes I like tell my second photographer, I'm like, we're going to Uber Eats and you're going to go get it while I like sit here and wait. Because
another great
the
conversation
second we both walk out of the room,
this asshole's going to be
like, and now it's grandpa's birthday. Let's celebrate it. We didn't tell the photographers they're on the other side of the building. It's okay.
No, that happens to me. Setting everything up, and it's like even cocktail where like we're taking a few bites of cheese or a cookie, honest to God, because we're starving.
I call it tasting to make sure it photographs well.
Yes. Just so it looks good. I just need to make sure it tastes good.
Does it taste as good as it looks?
Literally.
That's part of the job.
It's part of the job. If you're seeing us taste your cheese or your cookies, but
you don't want me running on like only 20 cookies though.
You don't. Exactly.
Or 5 if I'm a reasonable person, but if I'm hungry, they're good.
But I think part of what venues don't always say to the couple, they'll say, these are your vendor meals available. Which one would you like to choose?
Yeah.
So people that obviously you've never gotten married before, you're not in the industry, you don't understand. You're like, oh, this cold sandwich is fine. Which I'm the type of person, I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'll eat your sandwich. I'm just so
I'm a picky
grateful.
eater, so I'm like, it has mayonnaise on it, so you just paid for something I'm not eating, and I'm gonna go eat a bunch of your cookies and then get a spicy chicken on my way home. And then you just wasted money. Yeah,
that is true too. That is so true too. But I don't think a lot of venues make it clear that you can just purchase the guest meal for your vendors.
Yeah. So I forgot if we talked about this. My friend got married in April. She's a wedding vendor. She's a badass. Palermo photo.
Shout out, BB.
Like the venue kind of did a bait and switch with her where she paid for guest quality meals because she's a wedding vendor and she knows. And then they like I was at the vendor friender table. So like I was a guest, but all the vendors were supposed to sit with us, and they got moved off the table and fed like inferior quality meals, even though she paid a ton per plate for those vendors to have real meals. Who ate those meals that she paid for?
I've never had a bait and switch situation.
I have where a client was just like, yeah, we got you a meal. Do you want chicken or steak? I answered. I was like, we always get chicken because I'm afraid I will fall asleep after steak. Yeah. It is what it is. And I showed up and it was just like cold pasta. And I was just like, hey guys, like
this doesn't make sense. Yeah.
I'm going to send them I'm not, even though it's in my contract, I will never go up to a client and be like, hey, I didn't get fed right.
Same.
Because that's a dick move and it's going to make their experience bad.
Right.
But I will send them an email after if I know they paid for something that I did not receive. Because I've seen how much those cost. Like some meals cost upwards of $200.
I know.
And yeah, they might still charge you $200 for a vendor meal, but that I might as well get the guest meal. Yes. I might as well get the thing you paid for.
Yep.
That you like kindly asked me what I wanted.
Yeah.
It's also why I love a buffet dinner. They don't bait and switch you ever.
They don't bait and switch you.
And they also usually are just like, oh, go through. Even though I did do one where they ran out of food and asked the vendors not to go through. 2014. So like a whole new world since then. But it's like a lifetime.
Out of food again. Vendors, quality, pricing, it all matters. Make sure you're getting people that know how to bring enough food.
It was like they had like scoops left of stuff, and they were like,
awful.
"Do you want this or that?" When everybody else was getting both at the beginning of the line.
Yeah, if it's a buffet and you're a caterer, you have to have people manning the buffet too, because people will overserve themselves. We've had that happen more recently.
Take 2 rolls, I'm gonna take
it. But if you only provide so much based off of what the client pays for, and then people overtake,
there should always be a buffer.
Yeah, like what?
Buffer on time, buffer on food, like nothing in weddings goes according to plan.
It doesn't.
And vendor meals typically are like the hill that a lot of people die on. In my end, it's been 15 years. Unless you're somewhere spectacular, your wedding food's okay.
Swear though.
But like, if it's JPC Event Group, they'll feed me real food. They know who I am.
Food is. But you don't need to say, Rachel. We agree for the most part, but we would just like to sit down and even just have a sandwich, and both Dawn and I will be so not hangry, and we'll be happy to continue our day.
the TikTok snackle box now, but I'm a child. It's basically just Tupperware that has a bunch of little compartments, and I bring Rice Krispies and brownies and peanut butter crackers and
the little snackle box from TikTok.
They really help. It helps because
I know you have to.
My clients are really good about treating me like a person who needs water and a seat and food.
Me too.
That will sustain me through the drunk crazy part of the night. But sometimes dinner's at 8:00 and I started at 11, which means I left my house at 10. So I last had a good meal at 9:30.
Because you're working the whole time. We don't get breaks. We work for you. We work for you. And that's why it's we just would like to sit down and have a moment. Doesn't have to be a big fancy meal, but
I gotta put the Red Bull in at some point.
Throw in some Red Bull. Come on. Dawn Derbyshire, I appreciate you so much. I love our friendership and all the fun we've done together.
How fast did I respond to your email for this? I was like, yes, so I would like to be there.
That's why I was like, I'm going to reach out to Dawn as one of my first people because I just knew you'd be here.
And I'll talk all the time.
But we always have great conversation and great takes, and I appreciate you so much. Dawn Derbyshire Photography, thanks so much for joining the cookie table. And please enjoy your
I don't want people to watch me eat, but I am going to eat one of those.
Favorite cookies, the chocolate chip. Thank you so much.
They smell so good. I wish there was a way, but
we're going to eat them now.
Bakery. Go to Grandview Bakery, eat the delicious chocolate chip cookies.
Please. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're the best. Thank you.